then came all the allegations, the sexual alleged assault and rape and blah, blah, blah. And it first came in this UK, quote, documentary, and they use that term very loosely there and here. And I'll tell you up front, I was angry when I saw that because they did it in such a compelling way that, especially the stuff about the 16-year-old, that I was angry with you. I believed what they said, or at least believed that there was enough smoke, there might be fire, and said to the audience at the time, the conservative movement doesn't need somebody like that. Like, we love what he's saying about COVID, but if this is a guy who's women and taking advantage of 16-year-olds, we need to move on without him.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I bring to you one Russell Brand. Now, Russell Brand is, he found new life in the conservative movement in the UK. He is a movie celebrity, or I guess a media celebrity now. He has a podcast and everything. But he used to be very promiscuous. He used to be a rock star, if you will. And he led a very wild lifestyle, if you will. And because of that, now he's become conservative. Now he's married and things like that. He has come under some very heavy allegations, and that is what he is trying to address in this interview with one Megyn Kelly.
Accusations! These are not accusations. This is false accusations.
Now, before we talk about this, let's catch you up to what's happened in his case, by the way. This is from the BBC. Pause. 24 February of 2026, Russell Brand pleads not guilty to the R word and SA charges. Where is my failure sound effect? Yes. Now let's scroll down here and read a little bit just to catch you young ladies and gentlemen up, or you ladies and gentlemen up, I'm sorry. Says Russell Brand pleads not guilty. The 50-year-old broadcaster, actor, and media personality appeared at Southwark Crown Court in London to enter pleas on Tuesday. The offenses are alleged to have taken place in the city in 2009 and relate to two women, according to the Crown Prosecution Service. Brand has previously also pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of the R word, 1 count of indecent assault, and 2 counts of SA in relation to alleged offenses in London and Bournemouth from 1999 to 2005 involving 4 women. A trial has been scheduled for June coming up to hear the original charges. All right. Now, the other part of this is that they're not talking about it here that these women were fairly young. Now, I would think because of this that he would not go on a podcast or go on a YouTube news outlet and speak on these things as openly as he did with Megyn Kelly, because in my opinion, what he said in this particular segment, really the whole interview, but this particular segment really makes him look guilty, if you will. He will have his time in court. Again, this is not a civil case, even though I believe he also has some lawsuits pending against him because of these indiscretions, alleged indiscretions. This particular interview, the things that he's going to admit here, does not help him and will not help him in criminal court. We're going to get into this. Of course, if you haven't done so already, before I get into this reaction, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to further donate to the channel, of course, you can hit the join button down below to become a member of the channel. Also, please hype the video. That would help me out very much so. So let's listen to Russell Brand get this quick review out of the way and see what Russell Brand had to say or admit about his misdeeds when he was younger and in them streets.
But if this is a guy who's sexually assaulting women and taking advantage of 16-year-olds, we need to move on without him. And felt that anger for a couple of years around you because I just thought it was so reckless and it was so wrong. And I knew that it might be false, but it seemed overwhelming, the way that they presented the evidence. And then the more I looked at it, the more I started to recognize I might not know the full story, because since then I have seen what the British government has done, what my own government has done to certain figures that it doesn't like. And I have an enormous amount of open-mindedness to you are being railroaded and attacked by people for reasons having nothing to do with actual facts, but with your right-leaning stance on certain issues, your growing prominence as a figure in a bunch of discussions that they find very threatening.
Oh, by the way, he also got, I think, demonetized on YouTube. He has a very, very popular podcast where he speaks on the government of the United States and his home country, the United Kingdom. He also talks about conspiracy theories and things like that. And he's called out a heat for it since he became conservative. So that's also what she's talking about in regards to his now current stance in politics and political leanings.
And honestly, I just reevaluated the whole thing and thought I need to be open-minded to having been wrong in my initial assessments. And I'm interested in a conversation about it all.
Thank you, Megan Kelly, for giving me the grace to address in particular your anger, which is entirely legitimate and recognizable. And the plain fact of it is that in Europe and in the United Kingdom where I'm from, the age of consent is 16. And I did sleep with a 16-year-old when I was 30. But when I was 30...
Nick, you're stupid.
Yo, see, man, again, to give context here, this is more of a moral indictment, if you will, than a legal one, because he just said in his home country, the United Kingdom, the legal age of consent is 16.
Ain't no way.
Now,
Ain't no fucking way.
he was 30 at the time when he said he did this. He engaged in this behavior, this activity with a young lady. All right. This is a moral indictment, not a legal one. Now, as far as the other legal charges against him, that's a different story. However, he said it's legal. I looked it up. This is true. In the UK, it's 16. He was 30. That is a huge age difference, but we're not going to speak on age gaps at the time because that is a very heated topic that we're not going to discuss here. However, again, in the court of law, this, I don't think is something that he should have admitted ahead of his trial. All right. That's just my opinion.
I was a very different person. I was a lot younger and I was an immature 30-year-old. Consensual sex, actually, with a variety of people, when there is a strong power differential, as there is when you're a famous man that has the ability to attract women that I had at that time, I think involves exploitation. I think it is exploitative. I recognize that my sexual conduct in the past was selfish and I did not apply enough consideration, barely any, I suppose, really, to how that sex was affecting other people. The only matter that I would contest, while acknowledging, firstly, your right to be angry as a woman who, given what I know about you and the industry you've worked in, I'm sure that you have personal reasons for feeling aggrieved towards powerful men, because in spite of occasionally men coming to the forefront of the culture, whether it's the most hideous gargoyle villains as rendered and portrayed.
Now, I give him credit for acknowledging, because now he's 50 years old. He did the stuff. He was in his 30s, late 20s. So he's acknowledging that, yeah, I made some mistakes. I did some things that I'm not proud of now. And looking back on it could be, considered manipulative and things like that. So I give him credit for admitting this and, kind of projecting this, I'm sorry, this apology tour is going on right now with the show. However, like I said, if I was him, I would have done this after the trial when maybe you're hopefully found innocent, than to do it now. And then they use this, or the prosecution of the United Kingdom use this against you, because I guarantee they're going to play this in court again, like we as in America, everything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Russell Brand, please remember this moving forward, sir.
Or the more sort of innocuous and party boy style exploits of women, a category that I suppose I must fall into. It's plainly something that exists within our industry, and one might say culture at large. While I was transgressing lines of being a person that was sleeping with people because I had availability to not only, by the way, waitresses and strippers and fans and people, but powerful women as well, or powerful professional women that had gravitas and status and power, I was only really thinking of myself. And obviously I have to be careful of contempt of court, because that's a law in my country.
Thank you. Yes, you do. Thank you for acknowledging that. You have to be very careful what you said. You have to be careful what you say. Personally, I think you said too much already, but contempt of court, of course you are incriminating yourself right now, but some things you're saying, I believe. So yeah, man. Ugh.
Where I can't say anything publicly that might in any way influence a potential jury. But obviously, as soon as I've said I'm not guilty, what I'm in effect saying is I had consensual sex with lots of women, and you can argue that that's not appropriate. But the age of consent is an important thing. Mm-hmm. The ability to consent is an important thing, like i.e. drunk people can't consent, mentally ill people can't consent, children can't consent. Like, consent is what's important. And what fame gave me and what my addiction fueled was opportunity for endless consent, which led me to be a hedonist and a fool and an exploiter of women. And that is wrong. And that is something that needs to be redeemed and addressed and atoned for. What I'm obviously not only querying, but violently or aggressively or assertively opposing is the idea that this is a judicial criminal matter where consent was overridden. Actually, what happened is consent was directed. That's what being famous and being, if I may say, forgive me, charismatic affords you.
He's right about that. Now, he's again apologizing. He's saying, hey, look, I know the actions I took were they're vile and disgusting and things like that. He's also saying that being a famous man, you basically get stuff thrown at you. In this case, we're talking about women. We're talking about consent. We're talking about, no pants. Several no pants dances were afforded to him by women. Okay. He's saying that this was bad behavior. Now that I recognize that, I'm sorry. This was bad. He's admitting that he did things wrong. And he says he's trying to atone and make good on it. And I think this man is not above redemption. Again, a court of law will figure out what he did was legal or illegal. But in a general sense, I think he's turned over a new leaf, or at least that's what he's portraying anyway.
Is the ability to direct consent. That doesn't mean it's right. It's actually not right. It's wrong. It's a sin. It's an expression of selfishness and false idolatry. I provided a lot of material through my foolishness and my selfishness around women that meant that when I became not a person that was celebrated by the culture as a representative of individualism, hedonism, you're the most important thing in the world, there's no essentially acting like if there is a God, you're it. That's what the culture wants you to believe. It doesn't want you to have a higher authority to which you submit that none of us have control over, that we're not the final say on what's.
I'm not going to continue with this because eventually he's going to go into other things like politics and, Project 19 and things like that. But essentially, here to end this, what he's saying is that when I was famous and cool with everybody, when I was a rock star or living like that, these things were accepted. By the way, he's also promoting a new book, which you see down there. He's promoting a book he just wrote. But he's saying that now that I'm on the other side of it, now that I'm not liberal and I'm not doing all this crazy stuff no more, now that I'm conservative and talking about all this other stuff about politics and things, well, the stuff that I did in my past that was wild and free and freaky, now is being used against me to say that I was abusive and I've done very heinous things to women. And to a degree, he's right. These things are being levied against him because, well, now you're on the other side of the coin. Now you're on the wrong side of politics and society. And so now the things that you did in the past are being used against you in a negative way. So he's going to have to overcome that. And he has a big hill to climb. But like I said, I believe that some of the stuff he said is going to be, it was very incriminating, but that's just my thoughts. Y'all let me know down in the comment section. All right. So like I said, we will continue to follow this case with Russell Brand. If he's innocent, I hope the jury finds that out. But if there's evidence to the contrary, well, this apology tour will be necessary because you won't be able to say it later. Okay, so let me know what y'all think about it down in the comment section. And as always, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell out of the door. And I'll see you on the next video.